YouTube, what's going on? I hope you all are doing well. Today we're going to be talking about something that I think should be addressed as motorsport fans. I think this is something that is a pretty interesting topic to talk about, and I don't feel seen enough people talk about it, and that's Alexander Albon, a former Red Bull driver, former AlphaTauri driver, and well, at that time it was Toro Rosso, but he is making his comeback into F1 with Williams, and I think this is pretty interesting given that his lack of success, I think I would call it, in F1 in previous years, his falling behind, I guess, falling short of the pace of his competitors and people in very similar cars. And I think this is a key moment for him in his career, whether he pushes and differentiates himself from the other drivers or is just a guy who's half decent at racing and has a lot of money and has opportunities. Obviously, I don't know his financial situation or whether or not he's a full pay driver, but I think this is a big moment for him in F1 and this 2022 season when he returns with Williams taking the seat of George Russell, who's moving to Mercedes. That's a turning point, and that's really what I want to talk to you guys here about. If you guys enjoy, leave a like on the video, consider subscribing. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think is gonna go on with George Russell? But without any further ado, let's get into some stats and talk about this topic. Now, a little bit about Alex Albon. He started racing, I guess, in a professional scene in 2006, and he got it started off with the Kart Masters British Grand Prix and went up through the kart classes for about 5 years, and he essentially did pretty well. He won a couple championships, and by a couple I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 here that is showing on driver database, and it was a successful run for him in karts, but I guess it's a different story when you get to cars. But for Alex, it wasn't really that much of a different story. He came third and second in his GP3 Renault 2.0 and Formula 2 championship. So he did pretty well there, keeping it competitive with all the drivers. As in 2019, when he entered Formula 1, he was one of 3 drivers that year to move up. It is quite a big number. 3 drivers in one season to move up. Usually you have 1 to 2, if that. Sometimes you don't get that many drivers. But in 2019, F1 had seats open, and that's the way that it went. He got a seat with Toro Rosso at the time, now named AlphaTauri, and he did a fairly decent job coming into that. He was, I believe, part of the Red Bull team and had some connections through there. For the first half of the race, he raced with Toro Rosso, and for the second part of the race, he raced with Red Bull. Both Honda engines, both a similar car in that sense, but he had to get used to it and get everything out of the way. Now, 2019 was, I guess, quote unquote, the last F1 regular season. Since then, it's been quite different with COVID and all these different things. But I digress. His world championship was, I guess, much different than anyone expected. Coming into a Red Bull, which was a fairly competitive car, and managed to get Max Verstappen third in the Drivers' Championship, and Red Bull just so close. If Alexander Albon had pushed that car to the limits that Max Verstappen had, they would have come second in the team championship, Red Bull Honda Racing. And it is quite sad to see that, but we're not going to just be talking about his 2019. We're also going to be talking about the 2020 where he finished 7th in the World Championship. He raced for Aston Martin that whole season, and did fine job, I guess. Max Verstappen had 214 points while he only had 105. That is less than half the amount that Max Verstappen had. Well, 2 points off half, but that says something. If your guys finishing 5th, you're finishing 10th, and that's a long way off for a driver, and it's interesting to see his rating that year. He didn't do too hot. I can't lie. Although he finished 7th in the Drivers' Championship, there was only 17 races apart from the usual 21, and that took a toll on his racing career as we know it. He only had 2 podiums, which for Red Bull is not that much. Sergio Perez in this past 2020 season or 2021 season, has done pretty well for himself, making a name. But that's in a Red Bull. That is in a fairly competitive car, and we've seen his race pace, his quality of racing. I don't want to be rude here when I say that he's nothing like Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen, or even in this younger generation, George Russell, which I think is going places. But he is a good driver. He's no one to be overlooked, I guess. In a sense, he has done a good job in everything up to that point, coming no less than 3rd place. But I guess this was a pretty big shock. I'm guessing it was a pretty big shock to him to understand that he wasn't really finding the pace that he wanted to. So this 2021 season, he went to the DTM. He raced in the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo. It's a GT3 GT racing series there, and he raced with the AlphaTauri AF Corse team. Got 1 win at the Nürburgring, which is why I'm attempting to race here today. 4 podiums and 1 pole position. So he finished 6th in the championship, and I believe the championship that year had 21 official drivers that earned points. 20, looks like almost 30 drivers in the championship. So 6 out of 30 is not bad, but when you compare to some of the other drivers that were there, they're nowhere near the realm of Formula One potential. I guess you could say. Some of them have lots of history. Arjun Mani, I believe is his name. And then you also have Sofio Flores, who races in the all-women's LMP2. And then Arjun had quite some drama with, and rightfully so, with some Formula teams. But Alexander Albon is a big name in there, and he finished 6th. And that the point of that was to help his racecraft. Christian Horner has, it's seen that Christian Horner has always been a big fan of Alex, and not willing to let him go so quickly. But he wanted him, I guess, to progress. And just a thing that I want to note, and I guess parts of this reason that this number, I guess, attests to Christian Horner's thought process. But according to Autosport, which they give their driver ratings, very different than, I guess, the F1 2020 games or 2021 games, F1 games by Codemasters, their ratings for the drivers. But in 2019, his rookie season, Alexander Albon had a 7.24 driver rating out of 10, compared to that of the 8.48 of Max Verstappen. And that's a respectable number. 4.24 as a rookie driver in F1, you're being compared to some of these guys who've been racing for multiple years now, and that's a respectable number. But in 2020, that number dropped to 5.88, a number well beyond anybody else in that scope. And that year, Max Verstappen had an 8.53, so significant difference there, almost a point 0.3 difference between not 0.3, 3.0 difference, excuse me, between those two drivers, which were racing the same car. Usually you don't see that. Usually you see drivers with similar driver paces drive together, as both like team drivers usually come together with respect to pace. But that was a shocker. He came 22nd out of 23rd. So back of the pack, and you have Fittipaldi in front of him. You have Aiken in front of him. All these different drivers in front of him that are doing just I guess have the pace. And although I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, it was a crazy season, the 2020 season. Lots of ups and downs. COVID messed everything up, and maybe he wasn't in the right headspace. So we'll give him the benefit of the doubt and just say he's a 6.0 driver. That probably doesn't do him the justice he deserves, but he was a 6.0 driver compared to George Russell's 7.5 average-ish, his driver pace. And that's really what I want to be comparing today. I want to talk about how this transition into this Williams is going to set up for his next career. And this is really the part where we're going to be talking about what can he make of his F1 career at this point, racing for a Red Bull, dropping back down, and not having the bump back when you drop back down that I guess someone like Pierre Gasly has had. He's had just a full-on blast-off ride. He's full throttle, pun intended there, and trying to get back on the horse of Red Bull, or get back on the bull, I guess. And with the pace that he has, I guess a 6.0 driver out of 10, I guess his relative rating there, that's just a number compared to everybody else. But in a Williams car, I don't know if he's really going to be getting the results he desires. With the 2022 regulations coming around, you might have a closer pack. You might have some, I guess, slower in the straights, faster in the corners, which is really where the slow cars excelled. You've seen slow corners really help some of these slower paced cars because they can just maneuver in there. But I don't know how it's going to set up for him specifically. He definitely gained some experience from DTM. Not going to diminish the quality of that race series that he has participated in, but has it significantly affected his race pace as in a Formula One car? I'm not quite so sure about that, and I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments below. But I really think that Alexander Albon's gonna go on the downslope of his career, and I believe he might get a couple points, but and this is just my opinion. I probably am completely wrong, and he might go on to race for a top tier team, a championship competing team once again. But I'm just, in my mind, I find that just a little bit unrealistic at this point. I think he might finish somewhere in the realm of 13 to 14 in the drivers' championships, staying around back of the mid pack. You have the mid pack, which goes from I would say 8 to 14 to 13, 8 to 14 is a good place to put it there. That is, I guess, the middle of the pack where people are just scoring points at 8, 9, 10, just inconsistently. So I think that's gonna be a race for him in a Williams car. we have not seen the testing yet. So I'll probably make a video right after testing to see where his car stands in comparison to the others. Where Williams stands, I could have told you this year in my sleep that Haas wasn't going to be doing great things, but I don't know. Everything's changed. Everything changes, and we'll see how that goes. Just for reference, George Russell, who had an absolute amazing season, only finished 15th this year in a Williams, who has about a 1.5 plus on Alexander Albon. So to see him pushing for that 15th spot in the Drivers' Championship in the 2022 upcoming season, I think is a push. And I didn't realize when I said that, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out. But yeah, that's my take on this whole situation, him coming back. And don't get me wrong, I'm very happy for the guy. The lad's a good driver, and he showed it. But is he a great driver? That's really what this season will differentiate. If he can put up those George Russell numbers and put up the pace in qualifying and translate that into the race, I think we'll be having a very different outlook at the end of the season on what this gentleman's career is going to turn into. But that's my take of it as the beginning of the season, and we're hearing just some things and rumors about his whereabouts in the 2022 season. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, because I am really intrigued about what other people think. This is one side of the coin. You have other people who think very, very different things, but let me know. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I guess got your mind thinking about how the season will go for Williams, for Haas, for anybody, for Alexander Albon in specific though. So I hope you guys did enjoy, and until next time, peace.